Yes. Hello everyone. I am Vishnu. I am dealing the subject called Power System Operation and Control. So in that we have seen in the last class, in the lecture 8, we have seen about the integration of load frequency control with economic dispatch control, and we have seen the basic concepts of two area system. So in that two area system we have seen there are different types of controlling methods are there. That is regulation, flat tie-line regulation, different regulation methods we have seen. So if we go for the next upcoming topic is load frequency control of two area system. So what is the two area system? Two area system is nothing but, so if you see the learning objectives of this, so in that you are having to understand the concept of two area system to maintain a constant frequency. So we are going to maintain the constant frequency. So in that two area system we are going to learn how to maintain the constant frequency. And the next one is to understand the control of two area system by making delta PC1 is equal to delta PC2 is equal to 0. That is change in the power command. We are making the change in the power command as 0 in two areas. So you are having two control areas means that two control areas are having two different power settings. That is change in the power settings are two different you are going to have. That means delta PC1 and delta PC2 both. So if you see here, they are having delta PC1 and delta PC2. Delta PC1 is nothing but power changing command, that is delta PC1, and with respect to first area, that is control area 1, and delta PC2 is nothing but it is a control area 2. That means the change in the power command with respect to the control area 2. So those two we are going to make equal to 0. As in the case of single area system, what we have did in the single area system. So in that single area system, what we have did is, so we have just substituted delta PC is equal to 0 in the uncontrolled case. So in the uncontrolled case, we have placed delta PC is equal to 0. So if you see that, so in that first one is the two area system concept. So how to maintain the constant frequency, that is we are going to see here. So if you see here, load frequency control of two area system. So if I consider two control areas, control area 1 and control area 2, we are having two control areas. Those two control areas are connected with a tie line. So with a tie line I have connected two control areas. So here, what is the purpose of tie line is nothing but we are using tie line in order to transfer the power from one control area to the another control area. So it may be from control area 1 to control area 2 or control area 2 to control area 1. Wherever you are having deficit amount of power, so at that particular location we are going to transfer the power from the other location. That is nothing but other control area we are going to transfer the power. So in this analysis what we have did is, so in the single area system what we have completed means, we have considered, we are maintaining constant frequency. We have considered that by considering the change in the valve, that is speed changer setting, and by considering the steam valve, by controlling the steam valve, we are maintaining a constant frequency. Constant frequency means delta F. That delta F, whatever the change in the delta F is made as 0. But when you come for the load frequency control, that is LFC of two area system. So in that single area system, that is only single area is only responsible for the change in the load of that particular area. But whereas here we are having two areas. There are two control areas. You see here control area 1 and control area 2. You are having two control areas. So in that two control areas, if there is any change in the load of any control area, that is a joint responsibility over here to maintain or to make the constant frequency. If the change in the load is available in any one of the area, the other power changes is going to be changes and you are having frequency change. So for that particular change in the frequency, you need to maintain the constant frequency. Our aim is to maintain the constant frequency. So in order to maintain the constant frequency, what we have to do is, so here there are two control areas means these two control areas is a joint responsibility to maintain the constant frequency. it is a joint responsibility to maintain a constant frequency. That means the two control areas power, that is generated power, has to be changes. So how it is going to be happens, how the low frequency control is going to be available in two area system, we are going to see here. So in this analysis, what I am considering is, in this analysis we are using the symbols with suffix 1 and suffix 2. The suffix 1 will refers to the control area 1 and the suffix 2 will refer to the control area 2. So if we see the analysis of this two area control system, that is, we are having, if I neglect the losses, in the tie line, there is a tie line is used for the transmission of power or transfer the power from one area to the other area. So here what I am doing is, just I am considering tie line losses. The losses in the tie line are going to be neglected. So if I neglect the tie line losses, then what happens? The power transferred from or power exported from area 1 is given by P tie 1 is equal to magnitude of V1, magnitude of V2 by x12 into sine of delta 1 0 minus delta 2 0, that is in megawatts. So why I am considering this equation is nothing but, you know that in a steady state analysis or stability analysis of the power system, we are having two, one is sending end, another one is the receiving end in a transmission system. So for that calculation of the power, that is IQ power, if we calculate for that two area system, that is sending end and receiving end, then what happens is Vs VR by Xs into sine delta we are going to consider in the stability analysis of power system. So that equation I am considering here with two different phase angles, because we are having two different loads, that is with respect to different voltages, that is magnitude of V1, magnitude of V2 by x12 into sine delta 10 minus delta 20, and these are the power which is in megawatts I am considering. That is delta P tie 1 is equal to magnitude of V1, magnitude of V2 by x12 sine delta 10 minus delta 20 into megawatts. That is megawatts. That is the units of the megawatts. So if I consider P tie 1 is equal to P max 12, that is maximum power in that equation. When you are going to get the maximum power means when delta 1 0 minus delta 2 0 is equal to 90 degrees, you are going to get maximum power. That means magnitude of V1, magnitude of V2 by x12 will consider as a P max, that is P max 12 sine delta 10 minus delta 20 megawatts. So where P max 12 is nothing but it is a static transmission capacity of the tie line. So you are considering the tie line, right? So here you are having tie line between the two control areas. That means the P max 12 is nothing but the static transmission capacity of the transmission line or tie line, whatever we are considering as. In between the two areas there is a tie line. So that tie line is considered as here. It is P max 12 static transmission capacity of the tie line. And you are having incremental, if we consider the incremental tie line power, which can be expressed as delta P tie 1 is equal to T120 del delta 1 minus del delta 2 per unit megawatts. So if I consider in a per unit values, that is change in the tie line power del P tie 1, del P tie 1 is nothing but change in the tie line power, which is considered as T120, where T120 is nothing but the nominal values of the synchronizing coefficient. T12 is nothing but the synchronizing coefficient. T120 is nothing but it is a nominal value of the synchronizing coefficient into del delta 1 minus del delta 2. So which is considered in per unit megawatts. Why I have considered this in per unit megawatt from megawatts? In the previous case, if you see the first equation, that is P tie 1 is nothing but in the units are in megawatts. But when you consider here, these units are in per unit megawatts. Why? Because I have considered the rating of the machine. Where I have considered the rating of the machine is nothing but, so where T12 is nothing but magnitude of V1, magnitude of V2 by PR1 into X12 cos delta 1 0 minus delta 2 0 is known as synchronizing coefficient. So synchronizing coefficient is nothing but T120. So that T120, in that T120 you are having the rating of the machine, that is PR1 is the rating of the machine. PR1 is nothing but the rating of the machine I have considered, so that your units are going to be per unit megawatts. So whereas delta 10 and delta 20 are nothing but nominal phase angles of the voltages at both the ends. At both the ends you are going to have nominal phase angles. And there is an incremental change in the frequency. So as if you change any load of the any two areas, either it may be area 1 or it may be any area 2. So you are having two areas. If there is any change in the load between these two areas, then what happens? There is a change in the frequency. So that incremental change, I am considering here incremental change in the frequency, that is delta F. Delta F is the incremental change in the frequency, which is related to the phase angle deviation. So how the load is going to be changes with respect to the frequency is nothing but, as the load increases, load angle is increases, that is nothing but delta. Delta is going to be increases. As the delta increases, your frequency is going to be changes. So that increase in the load means increase in the frequency. Incremental frequency you are going to have, that is change in the frequency is in incremental order. Incremental frequency change I have considered. So that is related to the phase angle deviation. So if I consider that equation for that is delta F is equal to 1 by 2 pi del d by dt of del delta. Delta F is equal to 1 by 2 pi d by dt of del delta. So here in the above equation what happens means we are having del delta. Just I am considering that equation as del delta. So if I can take that 1 by 2 pi and d by dt this side, we are going to get del delta is equal to 2 pi into, if I bring that differentiation to the left hand side, we are going to have integration. So I am taking that differentiation to the left hand side means it becomes integration. So 2 pi integral delta F into dt you are going to have. If I write, we can write the equation 1 as, so from the equation 1, so if you see this is the equation 1, that is delta P tie 1. Delta P tie 1 is the equation 1. So if I substitute this del delta value in the equation 1, we are going to get delta P tie 1 is equal to T120 2 pi integral delta F1 dt minus 2 pi integral delta F2 dt into per unit megawatts. Right? Because I have considered rating of the machine, we are going to get the units as per unit megawatts. So delta P tie 1, we have got that equation. Similarly, that is delta P tie 1 is nothing but what? Which is the power exported from the control area 1. So similarly, if I write the incremental tie line power which is exported from the area 2. So if I write the equation for the incremental tie line power which is exported from the area 2, then what happens is delta P tie 2. We are going to get here delta P tie 2. That is nothing but 2 pi T210. 210 you are going to get. In the previous case it is 120 there. But here you are going to get 2 pi T210 integral delta F1. Delta F2 dt minus integral delta F1 dt into the units are nothing but here per unit megawatts are going to get. So here our priority is control area 2, but in the previous case our priority is control area 1. So you are going to get the one term first, then you are going to get second term. But whereas in the control area 2, that is delta P tie 2 equation, our priority is second area, that is nothing but 2 pi into T 210 integral delta F2 dt minus integral delta F1 dt per unit megawatts are going to get. So that is what, where in the equation that delta P tie 2 also you are having a synchronizing coefficient, that is nothing but T210 magnitude of V1 magnitude of V2 by PR2 into X12 cos of delta 20 minus delta 10 you are going to get. So here what I am doing is just I am multiplying and dividing with PR1. So that you are having V1 magnitude of V1 magnitude of V2 by X12 is considered as Pmax to 1. It is maximum power transfer in the tie line, is Pmax to 1. I have considered, and just I am multiplying, dividing that equation with PR1 by PR1. Then you are going to get what? Just consider PR1 this side and PR1 by PR2 you are going to get cos of delta 1 minus delta 2. Why have considered delta 2 minus delta 1 as delta 1 minus delta 2 is nothing but, as we know that cos of minus theta is equal to cos theta only. Cos of minus theta is cos theta only. Just I have considered delta 2 minus 0, sorry, delta 2 minus delta 1 0 as delta 1 0 minus delta 2 0 I have considered. Right. So if I consider del T210 is equal to PR1 by PR2, that is nothing but I have considered as a A12 and there is a T120, because our T120 is nothing but what? T max 12 by PR1 into cos of delta 10 minus delta 20. So if I consider that as T12 here, just I am substituting in the place of T max 12 by PR1 into cos of delta 1 minus delta 20 as a T12. Then you are going to get PR1 by PR2 into T12. So I am considering PR1 by PR2 as a A12. A12 into T12, that is, let us take that is equation as A. Then we are having the power balance equation. If you come for the power balance equation of single area system, then you are having generated power minus demand, that is delta Pg minus delta Pd, which is equal to 2H by F naught d by dt of delta F plus B into delta F you are going to get. That is what the power balance equation in case of single area system. But if I come for the two area system, you are having a tie line power between the two areas. You need to include tie line power. That means delta Pg1 minus delta Pd1 is equal to 2H1 by F naught d by dt into delta F1 plus B1 delta F up to here this single area system. Then we are adding the tie line power, that is plus delta P tie 1. I am adding the tie line power with respect to the area 1, that is the power which is exported from the area 1. So since the power is transported from the area 1, therefore delta P tie 1 is added in the power balance equation. We have added the delta P tie 1 in the equation 1 or equation above equation. So let us now take the Laplace transform in that equation. So if we consider delta Pg1 minus delta Pd1 is equal to 2H1 by F naught d by dt into delta F1 plus B1 into delta F plus delta P tie 1. Right? So if I consider the Laplace transform for this equation, you are going to get delta Pg1 of s minus delta Pd1 of s. I am taking the delta P tie 1 of s to the left hand side. So you are going to get minus delta Pd1 of P tie 1 of s, right, into Gp1 of s is equal to delta F1 of s. So how you are going to get this means, just I am considering Gp1 of s is equal to Kp1 by 1 plus STp1 and Kp1 is equal to 1 by B1, Tp1 is equal to 2H by F0 and B1 you are going to get. So these are the values just I have considered, so that you are going to get the equation 4, that is delta Pg1 of s minus delta Pd1 of s is equal to minus delta P tie 1 of s into Gp1 of s is equal to delta F1 of s, where delta F1 of s as an output. They are considering delta F1 of s as an output. The remaining bracket term whatever is there, that is delta Pg1 of s minus delta Pd1 of s minus delta P tie 1 of s. That is what here considered as an input. Output by input is equal to transfer function, that is Gp1 of s as a transfer function here. So here, so take the Laplace transform of equation 2 and 3. So here equation 2 and 3 are going to have. So that equation 2 and 3, these are the two equations, equation 2 and 3. For these two equations, if I take the Laplace transform, then you are going to get delta P tie 1 of s is equal to 2 pi T120 1 by s integration. There you are having integration. So integration is going to be converted as a Laplace transform is 1 by s you are going to get. 1 by s delta F1 of s minus 1 by s delta F2 of s. So that is for the equation 2 if I write the transfer function equation. So if I write, if I take 1 by s as a common, we are going to get 2 pi t120 by s into delta f1 of s minus delta f2 of s. We are going to get, that is, let us take that is equation as 5. Similarly, for the equation 3, if I write the Laplace transform, then we are going to get delta p type 2 of s is equal to 2 pi t 210 by s. We are going to get delta f2 of s minus delta f1 of s. Right. So if I write, so these t12 t21 as a t12, that means we are having the equation a. What is the equation a? t210 is equal to a12 t12. Just I am substituting in the place of t21 as a12 into t12, and we are having a delta f2 of s minus delta f1 of s in that equation. Just I am considering delta 1 of s minus delta f2 of s. So there we are having delta f2 of s minus delta f1 of s. Just I am considering that as delta 1 of s minus delta f2 of s. Just I am taking 1 f1 of s front side and f2 of s that side. Then we are going to get, that is minus, you are going to get minus 2 pi a12 t120 by s into delta f1 of s minus delta f2 of s. You are going to get, that is equation 6. The first one is equation 5 and the other one is equation 6. So if I write the block diagram for this, or if I draw the block diagrams for that equation 4 and equation 5 and 6. So equation 4 is nothing but this one. So that is delta pg1 of s minus delta pd1 of s minus delta p tie1 of s into gp1 of s is equal to delta f1 of s. So where delta f1 of s as an output and this bracket term is considered as an input, and gp1 of s as our transfer function. So if I draw that with the transfer function, output for that transfer function is delta f1 of s, and we are going to get input is from this side. So that is, so here delta pg1 of s and delta pd1 of s and delta p tie1 of s. Delta pg1 of s, delta pd1 of s, delta p tie1 of s we are going to get. pg1 of s, pd1 of s, delta p tie1 of s we are going to get. So that is what the input for the transfer function, and then we are having output is delta f1 of s. That is from equation 4 if I draw the block diagram. Then from equation 5 and 6, if I write the block diagram for the equation 5 and 6, we are going to have the transfer function, that is 2 pi t12 by s and delta f1 minus f2 of s. That is delta f1 of s minus f2 of s as an output, and input is delta p tie1 of s in the equation 5. In the equation 6 we are having delta p tie2 of s. So these two are the inputs, and we are having transfer function is 2 pi a12 t120 by s. That is what your transfer function, and the output is delta f1 of s minus delta f2 of s. So here we are having the output is delta f1 of s minus delta f2 of s, and we are having the transfer function is t 2 pi t12 by s, and there is a minus value minus a12, and we are having delta p tie2 of s. If you want to get the delta p tie2 of s, means we are having the minus a12 term in that equation. So if you see here minus a12, we are having the in the equation 6. That means to get the delta p tie2 of s, we are having here minus a12. Right. That is one the block diagram. If I draw for the equation 5 and 6, we are going to get like this. So if I combine these two block diagrams with reference to the single area system, we are going to get the total big block diagram of two area systems. So here you are having, so if I move outside, so you can see there, you are having the total block diagram of the total system. That means the two area system block diagram you are going to get. That is the replica of the one single area system to the other side by connecting minus a12 in the upper term. Same you are going to get the single area system here this side. The other single area system we are going to connect that side. Then, so these two single areas are going to be connected together. Then we are going to get minus a12 over there. So minus a12 is nothing but that is a factor which we are multiplying in that equation 6. So you are going to get minus a12 there. So that is what is called a block diagram of two area system, right? So if we come for the uncontrolled case, so in the two area system we have seen equations for delta p tie 1 and delta p tie 2 of s. So for that we have calculated the equations and we have drawn the block diagram representation for that. And if we come for the uncontrolled case is nothing but, so if we consider delta pc1 of s is equal to delta pc2 of s is equal to 0, that means we are giving the power change command as making the 0. That means the speed change and position is going to be makes constant. Speed change and position is going to be maintained as constant. Then we are maintaining constant frequency. So we have the frequency drops. There is a frequency drops as the load changes. So that frequency drops are nothing but the change in the frequency. That change in the frequency in area 1 and area 2, and those two are equal to delta f static. I am considering in this case, that is in the uncontrolled case, I am considering delta f static 1 is equal to delta f static 2 is equal to delta f static I am considering. So incremental, if we consider incremental increase in the generation of the static case, that is nothing but delta pg1 static is equal to minus 1 by r1 delta t static, delta f static we are going to. And in the next equation with respect to the control area 2, that is nothing but delta pg2 static, because we are in the steady state analysis. That is nothing but uncontrolled case and controlled case, these both are in steady state analysis only. So we are considering in the static values, that is steady state values. Delta pg2 static is equal to minus 1 by r2 delta f static we are going to get, that is equation 2. So we know that for the control area 1 and the setting of d by dt of delta f, is equal to 0. So if I consider in the power balance equation, that is delta pg1 minus delta pd1 is equal to 2h1 by f0 d by dt into delta f1 plus p1 into delta f1 plus delta p tie 1 of tie 1. Let us consider. So before applying the Laplace transform, this is the equation of power balance. Then you are having delta pg1 static minus delta pd1 is equal to, I am considering static values by assuming d by dt of delta f is equal to 0. So that means if I substitute that delta d by dt of delta f is equal to 0 in the whole equation of power balance, then you are going to get delta pg1 static minus delta pd1 is equal to p1 delta f1 static or f static you can consider, because f1 static and f static both are same. Then plus you are having delta p tie 1 static value. So let us consider this as equation number 3. Then we are having delta p tie 1 static is nothing but incremental tie line power in steady state. Incremental tie line power in steady state. We are having tie line between two areas. That is what the incremental tie line power. So which is in steady state. Stat value is nothing but steady state value. Right? Similarly, if I write the equation of delta pg, that is power balance equation for the equation. So if you see here, if I consider for the control area 2, we are going to have delta pg1 static minus delta pd2 which is equal to p2 delta f2 static plus delta p tie 2 static. In the area 2 we are going to get the values, right? So your suffix are going to be changes as area 2, that's it. The remaining equation is same for area 1 and area 2. Just suffix is going to be changes over here. But whereas if we consider delta p tie 2 of delta 2 pi p tie 2 static value is nothing but we are having minus a12 into delta p tie 1 static, that we know. So here I have given delta p tie 2 is equal to minus a12 delta p tie 1. Just I am substituting that in the equation 4. We are going to get the equation as delta pg2 static value minus delta pd2 is equal to b2 delta f2 static minus a12 into delta p tie 1 static value, that is equation 4. just substitute equation 1 and 2. There are two equations, equation 1 and 2. If you substitute in equation 3 and 4, you are going to get equation 5 and 6. That is nothing but minus 1 by r delta F static minus delta PD1 is equal to B1 delta F static plus delta P T1 static. Minus 1 by R1 is nothing but if I take that side, or you just consider that delta P T1 to left side. Delta P T1 static is equal to minus 1 by R1 delta F static minus delta PD1 plus B1 into delta F static you are going to get. So that is what the equation 1 by rearranging the terms you are going to get equation 5. Then again if we substitute equation 2 in the above equation, that is equation 2 in the equation 4, you are going to get minus 1 by R2. You are going to get the terms with respect to 2 you are going to change this, that is 1 by R2 delta F static minus delta PD2 which is equal to P2 delta F static minus A12 delta P T2 static values you are going to get. So just these that equation 5, that is nothing but delta P T1 static value. Just substitute that delta P T1 static value in the equation 6, you are going to get the below equations. So that is delta F static you are going to get. So delta F static, by rearranging those terms you are going to get delta F static value, that is minus delta PD2 plus A12. Here having delta PD1 by 1 by R2 plus B2 plus A12 into 1 by R1 plus B1 you are going to get, that is equation 7. And you can calculate the delta P T1 static value. So these delta P T1 static we will see in the next class, right? If you see the summary of this, you are having, so what we have done in this means, in the two area system we have designed the block diagram. So with the help of that block diagram we are going to analyze the total two area system. So that will helpful if we draw the block diagram for the two area system. Rather than analyze the equations, we can analyze easily with the help of block diagrams. So with the help of block diagrams we can analyze the system easily. So by using the controlled area case, that is uncontrolled case, right? By using the uncontrolled case of steady state analysis, the two area system can estimate the performance of the system. Here having a two area system, what is the performance, how it is going to be works, what is the tie line power, how it is going to be works. That is going to be with the help of uncontrolled case. We can estimate the power performance. Right. So in the last case, so we have calculated the tie line powers, so which is used to transfer the power between the two areas, that is control area 1 and control area 2. You are going to get transmission of the power. Right. So with this lecture is completed. Thank you everyone for listening.